Long ago, in the heart of an ancient forest, stood a lonely stone tower wrapped in silver roses. Inside that tower lived a vampire girl named Selene. She had lived for more than 200 years. 200 years of silence. 200 years without parents, without friends, without love. The world outside changed with every generation, but Selene remained the same, beautiful, immortal, alone. Every morning she woke with the same wish. I wish I could die. But death never came, for vampires carried a strange curse. Only when a vampire found their true love and shared a kiss with them would their immortality begin to fade. 1 year later, they would vanish from the world forever. Yet Selene never met anyone she could love. Many travelers wandered into the forest over the centuries. Some admired her beauty, some desired her, but none truly loved her, and she loved none of them. So the curse never awakened, and her lonely life continued. The reason she never left the tower at night was far darker. Many years ago, during a full moon, her vampire power had reached its peak. She lost control. Like a beast driven by hunger, she flew into a nearby village. The next morning, she awoke with blood on her lips and memories she wished she could forget. She had attacked a young girl. The girl survived, but Selene never forgave herself. From that day onward, she locked herself inside the tower every full moon. Whenever she remembered that night, she cried until sunrise. "I am a monster," she whispered, and every day her loneliness grew heavier. Far away from the forest stood the kingdom of Aurelia, a kingdom filled with rivers, mountains, flowers, and prosperity. Its people loved their king. King Alaric was wise and brave. His queen, Ilara, was kind and compassionate. Together they ruled with fairness and love. Yet, despite their wealth, they carried a sorrow no treasure could heal. Their only son, Prince Lauris. When Lauris was born, he was diagnosed with a mysterious illness. No physician could cure it. No medicine could stop it. When Lauris turned 21, he would die. That was the prophecy. The royal physicians were certain. The king and queen were devastated. So they protected him from everything. He rarely left the palace. He spent his childhood surrounded by guards, medicine bottles, and worried faces. While other children explored forests and rivers, Lauris watched the world through palace windows. He had no friends, no adventures, no freedom. Yet he never complained. His greatest wish was simple. "Before I die, I want to see the world." Years passed. Then came his 20th birthday. The palace was filled with celebration. Music echoed through the halls. Nobles laughed. Candles glowed. But when night arrived, the celebrations faded. Lauris walked through the silent corridors. As he passed his parents' chamber, he heard them talking. The queen was crying, "We only have 1 year left." The king's voice trembled. "I would give my kingdom for his life." Lauris stood frozen. For the first time, the reality of his fate struck him like a blade. 1 year. Only 1 year remained. That night, unable to sleep, he made a decision. He saddled his horse, slipped past the guards, and left the palace. For the first time in his life, freedom. The cool night breeze touched his face. He laughed. He rode through villages, tasted street food, listened to musicians, watched fireflies dancing over rivers, For the first time, he felt alive. Eventually, his journey led him deep into the forest. It was a full moon. Silver light spilled through the trees. Then he saw it, a tower wrapped in roses. Beautiful, mysterious, almost magical. Curiosity drew him closer. Inside, the tower was warm and clean. Moonlight illuminated bookshelves, candles, and old furniture. Lauris smiled. Someone lives here. He carefully explored the room. Then, suddenly, ouch! A tiny pin pierced his finger. One drop of blood fell onto the floor. The moment it touched the ground, a terrifying roar echoed above. Something descended from the darkness. A girl, pale skin, silver hair, crimson eyes glowing like rubies, sharp fangs gleaming in the moonlight. Selene. Her hunger awakened instantly. The scent of blood overwhelmed her. Lauris stepped back. I'm sorry, he stammered. I didn't come here to hurt you. Selene heard his voice. She wanted to stop, wanted to run, but her body wouldn't listen. The hunger consumed her. So instead of attacking him, she bit her own wrist. Blood flowed. She drank from herself to suppress the madness. Moments later, she collapsed unconscious. When dawn arrived, Selene slowly opened her eyes. The sunlight streamed through the windows, and beside her sat the prince, sleeping. Her wounded wrist had been carefully bandaged. Selene stared at him. How handsome he was, how peaceful he looked. Then Lauris woke up. His blue eyes met hers. How are you feeling? Selene immediately sat up. I'm sorry. Tears formed in her eyes. I never wanted to hurt you. Lauris smiled gently. I know. She looked confused. Then why did you help me? Because I don't want to hurt you either. For a moment, neither spoke. Then both smiled. And for the first time in 200 years, Selene laughed. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Lauris visited the tower again and again and again. Soon they became inseparable. He brought delicious food from the palace. They shared meals together. They walked beside rivers, watched fish swim beneath clear water, explored flower-filled meadows, sat beneath giant trees, and every evening they watched the sunset together. The loneliness inside both of them slowly disappeared. One day, Lauris asked why she always returned to the tower before nightfall. Selene hesitated. Then she told him everything. The village, the girl, the guilt, the self-hatred, every painful memory. When she finished, she expected fear, disgust, rejection. Instead, Lauris gently held her hand. You made a mistake. Selene lowered her head. A terrible mistake. But you've spent centuries regretting it. Tears rolled down her cheeks. You are not a monster, Selene. For the first time, someone forgave her. 6 months passed like a dream. Neither realized how deeply they had fallen in love. Lauris loved her kindness, her courage, her smile. Selene loved his gentle heart, his honesty, his warmth. Yet both were afraid to confess. Lauris feared his approaching death. Selene feared her vampire curse. So they remained silent, even as their hearts screamed the truth. One evening, they sat together watching the sunset paint the sky gold. The moment felt perfect. Selene gathered every ounce of courage she possessed. She turned toward him and whispered, I love you. Lauris froze, then laughed softly, not because he was surprised, but because he had wanted to hear those words for months. I love you too, Selene. Then he kissed her, a gentle kiss, filled with all the love they had hidden. The vampire curse awakened. The clock began to tick. 1 year remained.
That night they celebrated. Candles illuminated the tower. They danced together, laughed together, held each other close. For the first time, Selene stepped into the night willingly. Hand in hand, they climbed the tower. Then she jumped. Lauris screamed, but before he could fall, Selene spread her wings. They soared into the sky, above clouds, above mountains, above the sleeping kingdom. They watched the moon together from the roof of an ancient cathedral. It should have been the happiest night of their lives, yet Lauris looked sad. Finally he spoke. "I need to tell you something." And he revealed his illness, his fate, his remaining months. Selene's heart shattered. For days she searched desperately. Ancient books, forbidden texts, forgotten legends, anything that could save him. Then she found it. One sentence, hidden in an old vampire manuscript. "The blood of a vampire's heart can cure any mortal illness." Selene stared at the words. Her hands trembled. The cure existed, but obtaining it would cost her life. Meanwhile, Lauris remained inside the palace. He stopped visiting the forest. For the first time in his life, he feared death, not because he wanted to live, but because he wanted more time with Selene. One night, Selene made her choice, the choice of love. She extracted the blood closest to her heart. The process weakened her terribly, but she endured the pain. She transformed the blood into a crimson medicine. Then she flew to the palace. Lauris sat alone on his balcony, looking at the stars, thinking about her. Then suddenly she appeared, weak, pale, barely standing. She handed him a small bottle. "I'll always love you, Lauris." Before he could ask questions, she kissed him, one final kiss. Then she vanished into the darkness. Confused, Lauris stared at the bottle. He hated medicine, but this one came from Selene, so he drank it. Moments later, darkness claimed him. At dawn he awoke. The king, the queen, the royal physicians, everyone surrounded his bed. Tears of joy filled the room. "It's impossible," the physician whispered. "The illness is gone, completely cured, a miracle." But Lauris didn't celebrate. He already knew, and fear gripped his heart. He ran, through the palace, through the forest, through the rose-covered tower. At the top of the tower, Selene lay upon her bed, weak, fading, beautiful as ever. Lauris fell beside her. Tears streamed down his face. "Why?" His voice broke. "Why would you do this?" Selene smiled softly. "For 200 years, I wanted to die." She gently touched his cheek. "Then I met you." Her eyes shimmered. "And for the first time, I wanted to live." Lauris cried harder. "No, please don't leave me." She shook her head. "My time is over." "You still have dreams, Lauris. You'll become a great king. You'll protect your people. You'll make this world better." She squeezed his hand. "Promise me you'll be happy." "I can't." "Promise me." "I love you, and I love you." She smiled through tears. "Please." After a long silence, Lauris nodded. "I promise." Satisfied, Selene closed her eyes. A peaceful smile rested upon her lips. Golden light surrounded her body, like thousands of fireflies. Slowly,
Gently, she disappeared into the air, gone but not forgotten. Lauris remained there until sunset, holding empty air where her hand had been, crying for the woman who had given him everything, even her life. 5 years later, Lauris became king, a wise king, a compassionate king, just as his father had hoped. And because of the promise he made, he eventually married a kind-hearted woman. He treated her with respect and care. Yet a part of his heart would always belong to Selene. Every year, on the night they first met, he visited the tower. The roses still bloomed, the candles still glowed, the sunset still painted the windows gold. He would sit there alone and speak softly, telling Selene about the kingdom, about his family, about his dreams. And whenever the wind gently brushed past him, he smiled, because deep inside he felt she was still there, watching, protecting, loving him forever.